True Crime Society podcast contains adult themes and violence and is not intended for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised. And if you'd like to skip the intro or move to any specific part of the podcast, please refer to the timestamps listed in the episode description. Thank you. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the True Crime Society podcast with Stephanie and Olivia. It is October 12th, 2025 right now. The weather, it's like hurricane leftovers here in New York, so it's windy and rainy and gross, and it's getting cold. And I feel like I have to update you guys on the weather because this is the first time we've recorded like timely in a while. Yeah. So we're back on our semi-regular schedule. We have to change days because, as we all know, I had a baby that needs to also be watched. So we're recording on Sunday, my time, Monday, Olivia's time, instead of Thursday, Friday. So a bit different, but we're going to be recording weekly again.
Yeah, it feels good to be able to be current because when we did so much pre-recording to cover what we knew was going to happen. So now at least we can get back into our usual kind of friendly chat. Current chat, the
chat haters are seething.
Like, damn, I enjoyed the no chat months.
And what is your weather?
We need weather to know. Is amazing. So it's like spring here, but it's been super hot today. Today's not too hot. Today's like 22, which I feel is like probably 70s. But over the last few days, it's been 30, 31 degrees, which is, I don't know, probably 90. My estimations might be slightly off, but around that. It's just really, really nice. Like, it's still cool at night. Like last night, it was so cool to sleep, which I love, but hot in the days, sunny. Well, it was really windy here yesterday too, though. Like randomly, just all of a sudden, it got really windy. But weather's been great. I was just reading an article, and they're saying I think between November and December, they're thinking La Nina might come back, which is the rain.
There's always something.
But then they're like, the rest of summer will be neutral. So I'm like, look, that's fine. We're just living in the moment for now with this amazing, beautiful weather. It's just lovely.
That's good. I'm glad that you're having some nice weather. I feel like last time we recorded for real, it was like still cold.
Yeah. And I feel like it's because here at the start of spring, I guess it's now, I still like, my timing is all messed up because we've been off and on recording, but spring here starts 1st of September. So we're now about 6 or 8 weeks into spring. But yeah, I feel like it's just gotten hot right on schedule. Like it kind of built up gradually and it's just beautiful now. So hopefully we're in for a nice summer.
And for speaking of weather, this is like adjacent topic. And I've talked about it on the podcast for probably a whole year now. I did finally get my furnace replaced. I know I've talked about many times how it's breaking, I'm out of oil, the whole thing's messed up. Finally got it replaced, got a brand new furnace. So I'm also very poor right now. So so interact with our ads and our Instagram and everything, please. Use our ad codes.
I think my husband hates it because now that it's getting nicer and like I'm outside and I'm like, can we do this? Can we do this around the house? Can we do this? And he's like, yeah, okay, yep. Whereas in winter, I just kind of
so long.
Hibernate and don't pay attention to anything.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't work all summer, but obviously I didn't need it. And it finally started getting colder and having a baby that has to probably stay kind of warm. I was like, I guess we have to do it. So yeah, that was finally done. Not fun. Owning a house, not fun. Grateful, but not fun.
Yeah, tell me about it. Even like we've got a deck outside and it's when we bought the house, it was old and wood. And every time I go out there now, like I'm pretty sure this wood is just going to disintegrate under my feet. So we need to do something about it.
Yeah. So I did bring one chat topic to the table. Being a mom, I know it's only been a short amount of time, 2 months basically. And I've heard this many times, so it's not like it was groundbreaking to realize getting ready as a mom to do anything, impossible. Yeah. I'm living it. You have to plan at least like 3 hours in advance. Start getting ready like 3 hours in advance at least with the baby. And I know people are always like, toddlers are even worse. I'll deal with that when I get there.
I feel like toddlers
many hours in advance.
I would disagree. Like I remember the first time I got to go out without, like we call it a nappy bag, a diaper bag, because the baby didn't need it anymore. I was like, this is so liberating. You just need so much stuff and to prepare so much when they're little, whereas when they're a bit older, it's so much easier to take them out and get on the go.
Well, for me, it's like with the timing, like he eats every 3 or 4 hours. So you got to time it between like the feeding, you got to feed him, then start getting ready and hope that he decides to sleep during that time. And then you have to calculate how many bottles do I need if we're going out. But then of course, while you're getting ready, he's not going to sleep or anything. He's going to be wide awake. So then you have to try to get ready awkwardly over him or holding him or pawn him off on your husband or partner or whatever. You actually have to start planning the night before, really, to get ready. In some people, and I talked about this on Patreon, said you just got to pack the diaper bag either the night before or become a person who just always keeps the diaper bag fully packed. Whatever you use that one trip, replace those things so that it's just always ready to go. So today, Mike's parents came over and I was like, I want to do my makeup, not because I want to impress Mike's parents, but I haven't gotten dressed or looked like a normal person and felt good about myself for so long that I was like, I want to do this for myself. I want to do my makeup and prove to myself that I still look cute, because I know everyone's like, no girl, you just had a baby, blah, blah, blah. But still, I just haven't felt good about myself that whole 2 months. Not that I felt bad, but I haven't been like, wow, look at me, I'm feeling cute. It's just a lot. But anyways, kudos to all the moms out there who try to actually get ready, because I need to try to get ready because I'm insecure. So that's a lot of work. Even just do the minimum.
It's so interesting because you've reminded me, because obviously my kids are now older and they're, it's just everything in motherhood is a season. And I have forgotten a lot about those early seasons because it's now been a long time ago. But I remember that, I remember packing the bags, and then when they start eating solids, making sure that you've got food, and it's just, it's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So most days I just look like a homeless rat.
I still look like that all the time, and my kids are teenagers basically.
But some days I'm like, you know what? Because I used to be a makeup girly, and I'm like, I just need to actually wear foundation and do a real makeup today.
My brother keeps saying, you guys need to get on YouTube. You need to film yourself. And I'm like, no, absolutely not.
Especially for you because it's early.
Yeah, and because I literally record straight after the school drop off. I'm actually still my pajamas today are sweatpants and a singlet top. So I'm actually still in my pajamas. But yeah, I'm this would require so much extra effort to get up, do my hair, do my makeup and all that early. It would be a nightmare.
So sorry, y'all.
You'll just have to keep going with voice only. So the last bit of real chat we'll have today is I just went on spring break to Bali. We spoke a little bit more about it on Patreon, so if you want to hear about that, it was really good. But I did have some time to read some books, which I haven't. I've been slacking my book reading lately. So the one book I did read. God, that's good English. One book I did read, and I've read another book by this author. And I think the first book I wrote, it was called Love Letters to a Serial Killer, was her first one. So it's very on brand for this podcast, which is why I'm mentioning it. But the second book is called Matchmaking for Psychopaths. Oh. The author is Tasha Coriel, I think is how you say her name. Anyway, if you're into true crime, it's a very easy read. It's not going to blow anyone's literary mind. But if you're looking for a good holiday read that's entertaining, super quick, and obviously very unrealistic, but very entertaining, I highly recommend it.
I can't remember the last time I actually read a book. When my sister's on maternity leave, she read so many books, and I'm just let me just scroll on my phone, brain rot.
I do mainly audio as well. I'm hosting book club this month, so it's my book choice. The book I've chosen is called The Girls Who Grew Big by Layla Motley, and it's about teenagers basically who get pregnant in Florida, which is a very niche book, but it's very interesting. So if you because the way I found that book was I Googled best books of 2025, and that was one of the ones that came up. So I am enjoying it. I haven't finished yet, but I will report back when I've finished.
Nice. You always have such great reviews, recommendations.
So getting back onto podcast topic, we do have another listener of the week. I feel like it may have been a while because we've kind of been on and off recording, but this week's listener is Avery. She sent us a message on Instagram and it was so nice. So I just thought I saved it because I wanted to mention her and give her a shout out. She said, I loved your most recent bonus episodes about the sewer babies, which is what some people called the Irish septic tank babies. She said, I agree, rude. Awesome episode. You guys really helped distract me and brighten my mood while I'm going through a tough time with my family lately. Thank you for everything you do, for all the hard work you do. So many insanely well-researched episodes every week. It's so impressive. Keep up the amazing work. I'm a Patreon subscriber for life. They're very lovely.
Aw, thanks.
Yeah. And just quickly before we get into this week's topic, the last episode we did release was our Katie Janess episode, where she and her dog Bowie were murdered in a park in Atlanta. And I did a poll because I was interested to see what people thought. Usually our polls are pretty divisive, like it's usually like a 90% split one way or the other. So I asked if people thought, who people thought who was responsible for Katie's murder. I asked if it was a stranger/random attack or if it was someone known to Katie. And currently the poll is 56% stranger and 44% someone known to Katie. So I feel like that's a pretty even split for a case like that. Like, I guess, it seems like it was such a personal attack with the letters, FAT that were carved on her body. That seems like a very personal thing for someone to do during a random attack. So an interesting split, I thought.
I still think I voted more stranger, like random, but just or someone who like maybe casually knew her. But
I do feel like
so many people who think it's the girlfriend. Not to get into it again, but I'm always surprised by how many people think like the girlfriend could be involved.
And to be fair, I always think it's the girlfriend or the boyfriend or the husband or the wife or whatever. Usually, but in this case, it is still a possibility. Don't get me wrong, but in this case, I feel like it's probably a random, maybe a hate crime, which is why it was more personal because the attacker had so much hate, maybe against Katie because she was gay or whatever reason,
or a woman.
Yeah, or a woman. It could have been a multitude of reasons that this person had so much hate towards her. And I just thought that was an interesting split. Usually it's not that evenly split when we ask.
Yeah. Very interesting. Hopefully one day we'll get an answer to that.
Yeah.
For the family and her loved ones anyways. Before we get into the rest of the episode, we have a quick word from our sponsor, Rula. I've talked to you guys a lot about how I've struggled with anxiety in the past. There was a time where I did finally decide to go to therapy because of it. I really felt like it was derailing my life. So I just felt like I needed some extra help to get back on the right path. I remember looking up therapists in my area and trying to figure out which ones were covered by my insurance. And it's really confusing when it's more of a mental health thing. It's hard to find ones that your insurance cover, and it's all just super confusing. And when you're already struggling with anxiety and stressed out, it's just not another stress you want to have. Affordable and accessible mental health care shouldn't be out of reach, but often it is. You use insurance to cover your physical health, so why shouldn't it also cover your mental health? And Rula makes sure that it does. A lot of online therapy platforms don't even take insurance, which means that you're stuck paying the full cost out of pocket or paying for an expensive monthly subscription. Rula does things differently. They partner with over 100 insurance plans, making the average copay just $15 per session. That's real therapy from licensed professionals at a price that actually makes sense. Think about it. Use insurance for your physical health. So again, why wouldn't you for your mental health? So check it out. Go to rula.com/TCS to get started today. That's RULA.com/TCS for quality therapy that's covered by insurance.
With Rula, you can find the right therapist for you. Rula partners with a network of over 15,000 therapists and psychiatrists nationwide, enabling you to find your personalized solution and the right therapist for you based on your needs, preferences, and state requirements. Rula is committed to supporting you and staying with you every step of the way on your mental health journey. From finding the right therapist to helping you schedule appointments and monitoring your progress, Rula is there to help. Thousands of people are already using Rula to get affordable, high-quality therapy that's actually covered by insurance. Visit rula.com/TCS to get started. After you sign up, you'll be asked how you heard about them. Please support our show and let them know that we sent you. That's RULA.com/TCS. You deserve mental health care that works with you, not against your budget.
Okay, so today we are going to be talking about a hot topic. Is there a serial killer in Houston? And if you've listened for a while, I say no, there's not. But a lot of people think there is. So we're going to talk about all that. They found a lot of bodies in the Bayou. So we're just going to go through it all and talk about if we think there's a serial killer or not, or why people think there's a serial killer.
This is kind of a topic that comes up occasionally. We have done some other episodes that we've done some smiley face killer episodes. We've done an episode on and the Ladybird Lake maybe serial killer. So when there is a disproportionate amount of people dying in an area, this kind of theory always comes up. I do think this is a very interesting one. And to be fair, there does seem to be a very, very large amount of people dying in that area in the last month especially. So it's an interesting discussion to have.
Yeah. And for the record, it seems like there was no New England serial killer. There's still no Lady Bird Lake serial killer. Still no discovered smiley face serial killers. So just so everyone knows.
Yeah, I don't want to get ahead of myself either, but when I was looking up Lady Bird Lake just to see if there was anything we could add in for this episode, it seems like the deaths there did stop like mid last year or slowed right down. So now people are theorizing that the killer there has moved to Houston.
He's on a break.
It's the same. No, well, has moved to Houston. It's the same state. So anyway, I just
went to New England and then to Houston.
Yeah, maybe they're just traveling the country. But I did find that interesting because I was like when we did Lady Bird Lake, I don't know if it was last year or the year before that we did it, but either way, there was a ton of bodies being found, and it does seem to either it could slowed right down, or it's just not being reported as much. I guess could also be another option.
Yeah, it seems like they happen like in clusters almost, like when the bodies are found and reported on.
Yeah,
I don't know. All right, so like we were just saying, in the first 10 months of 2025, at least 16 bodies have been pulled from the bayous in the area. In 2024, 24 bodies were found. So there's just yearly a lot of bodies being pulled out of the water there. The Houston area has more than 2,500 miles of waterways. So that seems, I don't know about by comparison to other places, but it seems like a good amount of water.
And when we say at least 16 bodies, like we're going to go through the victims, like I think the count is at least 23, but I feel like there's been 16 just in the last probably the last month or so. So, yeah. So there's been definitely more than 16 in Houston, but at least is the number that is confirmed.
Yeah.
We're going to take you live now where we've just learned another body has been found in Houston's Bayou. The call came in just about an hour or so ago. This is in the White Oak Drive area. This will kind of be more or less the Heights area here in the area where 45 and I-10 interchange right here. You're looking live here from Sky Fox. We are learning this is actually the 16th body found in Houston's Bayou so far this year, and I believe would be about the 6th in a matter of weeks. First responders say they are not able to get to it just yet. Again, 16 bodies so far this year. Obviously, city leaders, even Houston's mayor, have been speaking about this and have adamantly denied that there is some sort of a serial killer or issue here in the city, blaming this on a multitude of factors, including homelessness and other issues. Of course, we'll keep watching this one for you, and when we get more details about this one, of course, we'll let you know.
So we don't know a lot about the victims, but the media is primarily focusing on the people who have been recovered since mid-September. So we'll chronologically run through what we know about some of the victims so far. So it's kind of just like list style for most of them. So I'll just go through it. So on January 11, 2025, at the White Oak Bayou, Douglas Swearingen, who was 44 years old, they listed the manner of death as an accident, with the primary cause being drowning, contributing cause acute methamphetamine toxicity. And we'll link the obituaries to the ones that we have found on the blog if you want to go through any of them. So it seems like Douglas went missing on January 4th, and his body was found in the bayou on January 11th. So we'll read some of the obituaries. Like his says that he passed away on Saturday, January 4th, 2025. At the age of 44, he was called home to heaven. Welcoming with open arms was God, his mother, grandparents, a host of angels, and many other, experiencing an eternity of perfect peace, happiness, and love in the presence of God.
And just to kind of interject too, some of the victims, there is no information about them online. Like I Googled each and every single one. Some of them have memorials, obituaries, articles about them. Others, there's nothing. So we haven't picked the ones we want to speak about. The ones we have included are the ones that we could find information on.
Yeah. On February 14th, 2025, unspecified Bayou is the location. Carl Newton is the victim, manner of death, accident, primary cause of death, sudden cardiac death, hypertensive cardiovascular disease with a variant of hypothermia.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Like, I guess obviously hypothermia would be from being in the
water, I guess.
In the water.
Like he had a heart attack and fell in the water.
Yeah, I just feel like you'd have to be so unlucky to be waterside when you have a heart attack. I don't know, but yeah. I guess that's what they've ruled. So,
and we'll link his obituary on the blog, but it did say that it did confirm that he died in Houston on that date and that he was 24 years old.
He's one of the younger victims. Like most of the, victims, I guess is the right word, but most of the other victims are a fair bit older. There is another young one, but most of them are, a fair bit older.
On March 22nd, 2025, another unspecified bayou for location. Rodolfo Salas Sosa, age 56, manner of death not available. Primary cause of death, drowning with blunt force trauma. So they don't know if it's like a homicide is what they're saying. Probably still investigating that one.
Yeah, just if you're not familiar with what the manner of death means, basically it means the circumstances surrounding a death. So the options that the medical examiner has to pick are natural, accident, suicide, homicide, undetermined, or pending. So pending is when the autopsy hasn't been completed. Undetermined is when the body is kind of either not complete enough or so decomposed that they can't determine anything else. And the others are pretty self-explanatory. Like natural, accident, suicide, homicide are what caused the person to die.
Yeah. So March 30th, 2025, another unspecified bayou location. Name Anthony Azua, who is 33 years old. Manner of death still pending. Primary cause of death pending. On March 31st, 2025, location is Brays Bayou in southeast Houston. Name Juan Garcia Laredo, who is 69 years old. Manner of death is pending. Primary cause of death also pending.
And also, just to interject too, a lot of these are still pending despite these people having passed away like over 6 months ago. I know people are like, why is it pending? Why is it taking so long? That is pretty standard. Like for most medical examiners, 6 to 9 months is pretty, like that is absolutely not out of the realm of ordinary. Sometimes it can take a year. I've seen some results take years to come back, especially when people are found in water. That speeds up the decomposition process, makes things harder. So I don't think there's anything nefarious or it indicates anything that these people's results are still pending. It's literally just a logistical thing, I would think.
Yeah. There's probably like a backlog, I'm assuming, of some sort.
And Houston's such a massive area too. So, even with these people passing away, there's all the other people. Like the population of Houston's 2.39 million. So it's a massive city.
So April 15th, 2025, location Buffalo Bayou near downtown Houston. The name is Jesse Steele, manner of death undetermined, primary cause of death, multiple blunt force injuries. So his obituary says that he was born on July 7, 1990 in Pasadena, Texas, and he stayed in Houston most of his life, briefly moving to Dallas, while his sister Samantha was born, returning shortly after to move to Cyprus. Which part do you? Oh, here. He attended Cy-Fair High School for a short span of time until he moved to a group home for people with autism, where he met the warmest family and joined them. And another thing that Olivia noticed was that many lists don't include Jesse among the victims, but some do. So
and I feel like that kind of thing is the reason why there's so much discussion about how many actual possible victims there are, because some lists list some people, some lists don't. I don't know. I guess it's just one of those things, if someone was, it's interesting. I don't know why some list him and some don't, but I thought we should include him because was the circumstances surrounding his death.
Yeah. So the next one's May 7th, 2025, unspecified bayou. Kenneth Jones, 34, manner of death undetermined, primary cause of death undetermined.
That's interesting.
2 days later.
Sorry, because undetermined means the medical examiner can't figure it out. It's not that it's pending, it's that they actually don't know anything about how they died. Yeah.
Maybe they're just too decomposed.
Yeah.
2 days later, May 9th, 2025, location, unspecified bayou, George Grays, 54, manner of death and cause of death, both pending. Then we have May 9th, same day, location, Buffalo Bayou, name Colcois Racius, who is 39 years old, manner of death and cause of death, both pending. May 17th, so then we had a good few days between.
May was a very big month for this, though. Like, there's a lot in May.
See, yeah. I wonder that's when it's warming up.
Yeah.
Location, Brays Bayou, Anthony Curry, 35 years old, manner of death, accident. Primary cause of death, drowning with acute toxic effects of PCP and ethanol. Another May 30th, location, Brays Bayou, name Shannon Davis, 14, accident, manner of death, accident, primary cause of death, drowning. She's young.
And it also does seem like there's maybe quite a lot of people who are found in this Brays Bayou, and I've looked it up. It's 31 miles long, so it's a massive, massive waterway, which would explain why a lot of them were found there.
Yeah. June 9th/10th, location White Oak Bayou meets Buffalo Bayou, name Ernest Armstrong, who is 62, manner of death and cause of death both undetermined. June 12th, 2025, unspecified Bayou, name Brent Brown, 28 years old, manner of death pending, primary cause of death undetermined. So weird.
Yeah,
it's pending, I feel undetermined.
Yeah, maybe they just haven't updated it. And obviously, like that's a fluid situation. The medical examiner can still update, but as of the time of recording, that is what they had specified.
Yeah, and for Brent Brown, it appears that he was found 10 days after he went missing. His obituary says, "With heavy hearts and profound sorrow, we announce the passing of our beloved son and brother, Brent Everett Brown, who's 28, Houston, Texas. He departed this world on June 2nd, 2025 in Channelview, Texas, leaving behind a legacy of quiet strength, deep love, and unforgettable warmth."
And I feel like too, Brent is the anomaly out of all these people because Channelview is apparently not in Houston. Like we'll get into it later, but all of these other bodies were found in Houston, whereas Channelview, I believe, is not quite in Houston proper or is, in a slightly different location. So all the others were found in a closer proximity, whereas Brent was found a little bit closer, a little bit further out.
Next is July 7, 2025, unspecified Bayou, Raymond Hatton, who's 30 years old, manner of death and cause of death are both pending. His obituary says that he was the typical around-the-way guy who loved to write and recite lyrics to anyone who would listen. He was a true hidden gem whose humor and energy brought joy to everyone around him. So next is August 21st, 2025, location Brays Bayou, name Latricia Amos, who is 57, manner of death pending and cause of death pending. Then August 27th, 2025, again Brays Bayou is Jamal Alexander, who is 31, and the manner of death and primary cause of death are both pending.
And this is kind of where the media starts to pick up the case. So these people all died, but, I guess there was maybe a few articles about it. But from this point onwards is when there's quite a large amount of bodies found. Like we're now at kind of mid-September, so just a month ago. So this is where the media has really started to jump on the case. And so there is a little bit more information about some of these victims available.
So September 15th, we have Jade McKissick. Jade McKissick, who was 20 years old, was found in Brays Bayou near the University of Houston. She went missing on September 11, 2025. And at the time of her death, Jade was a student at the University of Houston. According to the Cougar, she was a junior majoring in strategic communications and advertising. She spent the evening of September 11th bar hopping with friends. Her group said that she left the bar by herself and that she left her cell phone behind. After she left the bar, she went to a gas station to get a drink. Police say that Jade was seen leaving the gas station alone and was walking towards Brays Bayou near Scott Street and McGregor Way. Jade's body was found on September 15th, about 2.5 miles away in the bayou. According to Houston police, an autopsy showed no signs of trauma or foul play, and her cause of death is pending. So that brings us to September 15th. The location is Greens Bayou. Rodney Ricardo Chapman, who is 43. These are too soon to have the cause of death, I'm guessing. Or
yeah. And even some of them have just been identified because it's been so soon. So yeah, we don't know anything much else about the cause of death for these people, the most recent ones yet.
Yes, these are really just names, locations. So September 16th, White Oak Bayou, Seth Joseph Hansen, who was 24. September 18th, Buffalo Bayou, Arnulfo Alvarado, who is 63. And witnesses reported seeing him jump into the bayou near Jensen Drive and Navigation Boulevard. He did not resurface and his body was eventually recovered. Another one, Buffalo Bayou on September 20th, Michael Andre Rice, 67. For all these Buffalo Bayou ones, just to be clear, they all come with like street names because it's a big area. I'm just not listing all the street names. So it's not like one small area all these people are being found in.
And the Buffalo Bayou is 53 miles long. So again,
this would account
for even bigger than the Brays Bayou. So it would, it's explainable why so many people were found in that one too.
Yeah, so it's not like a 1 mile radius that these people are all being found.
Mm-hmm.
September 20th, Buffalo Bayou, Michael Andrea Rice, who is 67. September 26th, Buffalo Bayou, unidentified Black woman under 30. The unidentified woman recovered on September 26th remains a key focus for investigators. She was described as 5'3", 120 pounds with short black hair and a widow's peak. She was wearing a black t-shirt that said "Black and Beautiful," jeans, and had a tattoo reading 888 on her inner left wrist.
There's a photo of the tattoo, which I'll put on the blog. It does
888,
but it looks quite homemade. Like it looks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a super professional tattoo or anything like that. Like people get the tattoo artist to identify it. I don't know if you could buy that one. It
the weight of the lines all over the place. It's not smooth looking.
The 8s are different sizes. It looks just very
homemade.
Yeah.
October 8th, White Oak Bayou, an unidentified man found. Investigations pending. Autopsy results and cause of death. In terms of this person, Houston Police Department said, "We received a drowning call. Our officers are at the scene trying to figure out what's going on."
So there is a map that I've put on the blog too. Like obviously a bayou, I guess, is kind of in a set of waterways. So they are found in a relatively close proximity, I guess, but it's just a series of waterways, which I think explains that part of it.
I feel like it's a bigger area than people realize because the news isn't really harping on that, obviously, because they want the sensationalism of look, all these bodies being found, but it's a pretty big area.
I'm just Googling how big is Houston so I can say that. Even, everyone's like, wow, all these people dying in one city. Houston is an enormous city.
Huge.
It's the 9th largest city in the US. It's 665 square miles or over 1,700 square kilometers. So it's not like the little, I guess New England was probably maybe a smaller area. I don't know. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but this is a massive, massive area where these people are being found.
Yeah.
So city officials have denied that a serial killer is at work. The mayor, John Whitmire, has spoken a lot. He's very adamant that there is no serial killer. He did a press conference on September 20th and he said, "We do not have any evidence that there is a serial killer loose in Houston. If there was, you would hear it from me first." He also said there is no evidence, again, that there is a serial killer. Enough is enough on speculation out of respect for the family and also the 2.3 million people in our region. Some of the media have asked criminal justice experts. One expert named Dr. Krista Gearing, who's a University of Houston downtown criminal justice professor, also agrees there is no serial killer. She said the short answer is no. It's possible that these are accidental deaths or people unfortunately taking their own lives. There are lots of alternative, less scary explanations. She said that serial killers typically follow specific victim patterns, which is not happening here. So as we mentioned, there's a big variation in age, there's different genders, there's different ethnicities. So usually, obviously generalizing, but usually serial killers have a victimology that they follow, Jeffrey Dahmer, all those, obviously I'm generalizing and sometimes it is just totally random, but usually they have a preference for the type of victims that they want. Some of these were kind of older males, middle-aged males. The majority of the victims are males, a few females. It just doesn't really seem that there's any pattern that if there is a killer, that this person is following.
Yeah.
The doctor also said that they should be putting cameras near the bayous, which I would agree with. I don't understand why they wouldn't do that. She said the camera might actually capture where an individual falls in or has an accident or is intoxicated or whatever, because that is likely what's happening. This is an interesting quote from her. She said, "We've created this cultural boogeyman, the serial killer, but the truth is they're incredibly rare. Most deaths like this are accidental or self-inflicted." She said, "We'd see a pattern, same demographics, same trauma, same location. Right now, this looks totally random." The bayous are notorious for tragic drownings, especially when it rains a lot. And there are also a lot of at-risk population in the area, people who are unhoused, or they're dealing with mental health crises or addiction issues. The doctor said, when you live near water, unfortunately, you'll see deaths related to the water, which I absolutely think it's, inevitable. People can't swim. They fall in. I found some quotes from people in the area, which we'll get into later. But the photos of the bayous are crazy to me. There's just bridges driving overhead. I feel like it's not a kind of an area where you'd have to seek out for it to happen. It could very easily happen for anyone who lives in the area because they are everywhere.
I also wonder because I don't live near a bayou. I live near some swamps, just a little similar, but bayous are very swampy and they can have a lot of like moss and grass and vegetation. I feel like it's pretty easy for people to fall in accidentally, especially if they're drinking and stuff, as we talk more about that at the end. But like they're very green bayous from what I know of them.
So I did find some interesting stats where Click to Houston, the media outlet, has kind of compiled a summary of the victims and their causes of death and what we know so far. So according to them, 4 of the victims drowned, with toxicology results showing drugs or alcohol in at least 2 of the cases. And as we mentioned, a lot of these are still pending or undetermined. So it's been confirmed that at least 4 of them have drowned. 1 victim died from sudden cardiac death, which was tied to heart disease and hypothermia. 1 case was ruled a suicide from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. So I did post these stats on our Instagram, and someone's like, well, how could they know they wouldn't have been found with a gun in their hand? It's kind of like Micah Miller. Remember, she did that. She took her life in the water. But also I said maybe they had CCTV of this person. Maybe they left a note. There could be a bunch of reasons why. Obviously, if the person was shot in the head and they've ruled it a suicide, they know that the person did it themselves. So we don't know how they've come to that conclusion, but I feel like there would be reasoning behind that. 19 of the deaths were men, 3 were women. The ages have varied, with the majority falling between 29 to 55 years old. There are obviously, like we mentioned, Carl was 24. I know there's some men in their 60s, so there are a few outliers, but the general age is between 29 to 55. 21 of the bodies were found in Houston's waterways, and as we mentioned, 1 was found in Channelview, which I think is around 19 miles away from Houston. So Houston does have 2,500 miles of waterways, and these deaths have prompted people to ask what safety measures are in place in the area. City of Houston leaders recently met to discuss the issue, but they have said basically there's no need to put barriers around and fences around the bayous. They said alcohol, mental health, and homelessness could be contributing factors to the recent deaths. And I haven't found stats to kind of indicate that Houston has an increasing homelessness problem, but I feel like everywhere does. Like, you know, the cost of living is so extreme these days. A lot of people are facing financial difficulties, so I wouldn't be surprised if there has been an increase in the people who are unhoused, and that would lead to maybe an increase in these deaths. I would agree that that could be a likely reason for it.
Yeah.
The Houston City Council member named Carolyn Evans Shabazz said, I'm always willing to listen to the solutions that may be available, but I just don't know how we can stop people's bodies ending up in the bayou or people being killed on a daily basis, other than trying to get a mindset of people to change those behaviors. I also don't really think it's plausible to discuss fencing every single bayou in the area. Imagine how much it would cost for 2,500 miles.
Yeah, we just said 2 or like 50 miles, 30 miles just for like the separate ones.
Yeah. I just think, I feel like cameras would be a great option, especially if, along the Brays Bayou and the Buffalo one, which seem to be where the 2 main ones where these people are being found. Maybe put some cameras in the areas where people are likely to go in, just to even stop this speculation about a serial killer. In one of our previous episodes, we have discussed the smiley face killer, the phenomenon where kind of men especially are found in waterways, usually after leaving a bar, after a night out with friends. They walk home alone and are found dead later in a waterway. The main person who kind of spearheads this theory is a retired NYPD officer named Sergeant Kevin Gannon. He always speaks about smiley face killers. He has spoken about it in relation to this case. There's an article just from today where he says, we've never seen drowning numbers like this before, especially with a drowning occurring every other day in the same location. He said basically he's examined dates, times, and locations along with other details, and when judging whether he believes the smiley face killers may be involved, he said the pattern fits in Houston for the most part, he said, except for the fact that some of the victims were in their 60s. He said this is an aberration and not the normal age of our 700-plus potential victims. 700-plus victims is of the smiley face killer or killers, not of the Houston serial killers. He's kind of encompassing these people within that smiley face theory. Yeah. He said, but that doesn't mean they couldn't be involved in killing these older individuals, as they feel they are pretty invincible right now and can act with impunity due to the police response. I don't know. I definitely don't think this is related to smiley face killers. If it is,
I don't
if
even
smiley
believe
face
in the
killers
smiley
are
face
even
killers,
a thing.
so.
I know. People get mad and people are like, how can you not believe it? I don't know. I feel like the guy, Sergeant Gannon, is reaching in this case. Like, there's really no evidence that Manny or any of these people would fit the smiley face killer. The only similarity, it seems, is that they were found in water. You know, I just feel like that's a reach to try and include them.
It's an urban legend that people use for clicks.
And we've said in our episodes in the past too, like the reason that these men probably are found in waterways is because they leave bars intoxicated, they're alone, they are disoriented, their phones are dead, they sometimes go and pee in the water and they fall in, and because they're so intoxicated, they can't get out. I feel like it's just basic. You know, that is why the majority of these people die that way.
I used to live above a bar that was across from a waterfall and like River Creek. I can tell you, drunk people just love going to water, to look at it, to yell over by it, to hang out near it. Very annoying to me in my apartment, but definitely something I took note of, that drunk people just love going to the water, which is unsafe.
And I feel like sometimes too, people use like a waterway, like a lake that runs through a city or whatever, as kind of a point. So, you know, I can get to the lake and I can walk home that way. Whereas, you know, if you might not be familiar with all the little side streets and things like that, whereas people will know where the lake is in the general direction, they should probably be going when they're intoxicated, and sometimes accidents just happen.
Yeah.
So interestingly, we did ask both on our Instagram stories and on a grid post if people thought there was a serial killer operating in Houston. And surprisingly, I don't know why I'm always surprised, but around 90% of people said they thought there was and 10% said no. I think the split, like one was 89 and the other one was 91. So they were very close in both polls saying, yes, there was a serial killer, which I don't know. Like, it is unusual, I guess, for that amount of bodies to be found in the area. I don't know. I
also think a lot of people who like follow this only follow it casually and aren't like reading as in depth about it. So like a lot of times you just see the headlines, you're like, oh my God, 30 something bodies found in this amount of time. Of course there's a serial killer. Like, not everyone's looking at it as critically and like in depth, which I understand too.
Yeah, and if you just read, because like, to be fair, a lot of the headlines are sensationalist. They're like, you know, serial killer operating, 8th body pulled out in this amount of time, and you know, that type of stuff. So if you are only reading that and not thinking about it, you would think it's unusual. But once you start to do a deep dive and you realize how big, especially this Houston area is, and how big the waterways are, it is explainable. Like, it's not out of the realm of possibility that these people did die accidentally or from a self-inflicted reason.
Yeah.
So as we mentioned, we did the Lady Bird Lake episode. I do feel like there are a lot more bodies found in Houston than that have been found in Lady Bird Lake, even though the Lady Bird Lake also has their serial killer theory. This is a stat about Lady Bird Lake. It says at least 38 bodies have been found in Lady Bird Lake since 2022, with the most recent being a teenager found in June 2025. So that, to me, is interesting, because 38 bodies in 3 years, whereas the Houston area had 24 bodies in was it 24? Yeah, 24 in 2024. Yeah. And this year they've had at least 23 already. So
I'm assuming the bayous are much bigger.
Well, I'm just looking it up. So it says Lady Bird Lake is 416 acres, which is big, but it's not obviously as big as the whole Houston area, where there's a massive, greater amount of waterways for people to basically go in on. I do think it is interesting, though, that the Lady Bird Lake deaths seem to have slowed down. Like June 2025, we're now at October. This time last year, there was probably, more bodies being found, and there was at one point a very high rate of bodies being found within a short amount of time, whereas it just seemed to have slowed down there. So I wonder if it really has. They're just not being reported to the media just to kind of stop that public hysteria. I don't know, but it is interesting, and people are like, the killer's definitely moved. I've seen comments online about that.
I wonder if they just don't report on it as much because people stop clicking the articles. Because even me, when I see like, another body at Lady Bird Lake, like, I'm not surprised, and I don't click the article to read it, not to sound like an asshole, but people are just like, another one. So I feel like if the news isn't getting clicks on it, they're not going to keep reporting on it.
They got their clicks out of it, and now they have stopped reporting on Lady Bird Lake.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did read some comments on Reddit, which was quite interesting. Someone said it's been going on since Houston was founded on a swamp. So then someone else wrote, and this is what I thought was an interesting thing, which kind of highlights how easy it is for this type of thing to happen. They said, have you ever had the misfortune of ever walking up the side of one of those concrete slides? So that's obviously the edge of the bayou. Someone said, I did it about a month ago, attempting to find a shortcut. You can't physically walk up and out. I tried. Every time the steep incline shoved me violently back down, increasingly harder the further up, away from the bayou. I managed to climb up a steep concrete embankment. I had to wade through 30 to 40 inches through the shallow bayou to an area where the embankment ended to climb on out, and I was sober. Add in the disorienting darkness of night, the vertigo effect of alcohol, and some bayous are deep and channelized, and death is seemingly unescapable. Then they've written in caps, don't ever go down a channelized bayou if you don't have a way out. If you're drinking, do not walk alongside the bayou. So I thought that was kind of an interesting it goes along with what you said, muddy, slick, and it seems like a lot of them have the steep sides, so you can't really get out unless you can find a less steep side or somehow manage to scramble your way out. And if the water is flowing, rushing, you would easily be able to drown, I would think.
I think like the water moves pretty slow in bayous, or maybe people assume it moves slower than it really does. But also, I think bayous, again, I don't really know. I'm just basing it off of like swamps, which are similar, a similar environment. I know one's like an ecosystem and a bayou's like waterways or something. I don't know. That's all environmental science. But like swampy areas like that, generally they have like a lot of mud at the bottom too, and just like muck. Marshy, and I think they also look shallower than they actually are sometimes. Maybe people kind of think that's going to be shallow. They step in, it's deeper than they thought. There's a lot of like debris and muck possibly. Again, I'm sure someone's going to be like, that's not true about bayous, bitch. But
I'm just looking up the Buffalo Bayou, which is one of the ones where a lot of the people were found. It says it significantly varies for location and water, ranging from 2 feet to 5 feet, at some points even over 30 feet deep. So,
wow.
Yeah. So, again, like you said, people think it is shallow. Brays Bayou, it says, Brays Bayou is a little bit shallower. It says the middle section is approximately 3 feet deep, 1.2 feet near the edge. But we know people can drown in like a bucket of water if, it happens. It doesn't need to always be super deep for someone to drown.
Yeah, it's true. I saved a few other Reddit comments that I found in the Houston subreddit. So I'm assuming these people are local or at least know the Houston area. One person said, another Redditor said it best, no one paid much mind to the drownings in bayous found last year. People just notice them now because they just happened to be close to each other and publicized. Someone said, that in the summer was much more bearable. Weather-wise, people are probably spending more time near the bayous, which creates higher probability for accidents. Another person said, with a city as big as Houston, it's not surprising you have people drowning in the bayous. If this was my hometown of 70,000 people, 20 to 30 people being found in the bayou would be a much more alarming number. But for a city with this many people, you easily multiply the chances of someone having accidents or mistakes happening. Like you said, Houston was 2 million something?
2.6 or 2.3 million or something along those lines. So yeah, a big city.
Yeah. And another comment I say said, they're responding to someone who said that statistically it probably is a serial killer. And this person said, it's not a statistical likelihood by any means that there's a serial killer operating in a major city at any given time. Serial killers are extremely rare. The FBI estimates less than 50 are operating in the country at any given time. And the Houston metro area accounts for about 2% of the entire population of the country. It's certainly not a given or even statistically more probable than not that one of them is here. It's also harder than ever to be one and not get caught. It's just highly sensationalized because the public finds them fascinating, which is basically what I always say and think.
Yeah. We've said in the past too, I feel like there are very few true actual mysteries these days due to technology, CCTV, all these type of things. It's much harder for people to be a serial killer or, for people to vanish these days because there's just so many ways that these things can be tracked and investigated. So I feel like to have gotten away with killing 23 people, minimum of 23 people with no
That's crazy.
No physical evidence in the space of a year is very, very unlikely. Like, again, there's always a small chance, but I feel like it's very unlikely.
I'm going to say it's impossible. I'm just going to say it.
I never like to rule out things totally just in case I'm wrong, because sometimes that is the case.
I will, just to enrage the people.
I did look at photos of the bayous because obviously I'm not from there. I've never been there, just to see what the area was like. There is one photo I came across, and so there's a bridge going over the bayou. There's like a concrete footpath that is basically, I don't want to say destroyed, but it's not maintained. So it's very uneven. There's kind of plastic barriers up on one side to, I guess, not even on the water side though, on the grass side, to try and protect people. So also I wonder, like, these bridges would offer some type of shelter if someone is unhoused. So maybe that's why some of these people are living in those type of areas under the bridges. And then if any of, more of the area looks like this photo where it's basically just derelict, I'm not surprised that people might misstep and fall in, especially if they're dark or if they're intoxicated or anything like that. So if it's in the dark. So I just thought that was interesting. And there's another photo with all these bridges going over the bayou, and the water looks rapid. Like, it's not like it's just a calm lake. It looks like it was quite a rainy day when this was happening because there's water on the roads. But it just looks like if you fell in and you weren't a strong swimmer, absolutely, I could believe that you wouldn't be able to get out.
Yeah, I agree.
Just interestingly, as a final point, Houston has had a bunch of serial killers in the past. We did a recent episode on the Candyman killer, Dean Coral. He murdered at least 28 boys in Houston, but that was in the 1970s. And has also been the Texas Killing Fields case, which happened between the 1970s and the early 2000s, which left several victims along the highways of Houston. So again, older cases, even the early 2000s, that's now 25 years ago. The technology and things have come so far since then. I just find it so hard to believe that a serial killer could be operating and has killed, if we count last year's, 50 people in 2 years. Really, I just think it's very unlikely.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, even just thinking back when I was a kid, like a teenager, we had flip phones, and now it's like your fucking refrigerator can track you. There's smart refrigerators. Like, there's smart everything. There's AI everything. You can't do anything without being tracked. It seems like, I'm sure there's some things, but it's just much harder to not be tracked in some capacity.
Yeah. Especially in a city like Houston, maybe in some remote back area where there's no cameras and you can dump people in remote locations. But in a metro city where I think it's highly unlikely.
Yeah. So, I mean, my overall thought is that I still think it's just people getting too close to the water. People love going towards the water, to the water, especially if they're under the influence or drunk, or even just like transient people who spend a lot of time outside. I think people are just attracted to water. It seems like a nice place to sit and hang out, especially if you're drunk and want to sober up. If you are an unhoused person, it's just like a nice place to hang out. People just love being near the water. And then the other thing is, if there's a malicious crime, what's a great place to dump a body? In the water, especially when there's alligators and stuff like that, or crocodiles. I don't know, alligators in a bayou, I'm guessing. I don't know if they're in Texas, but bayous make me think of alligators. But it just seems like a place where people would also dump bodies.
And I feel like, too, people have a lot of questions about the one confirmed suicide that we know of. But as I mentioned, people do commit suicide in lakes, even with a gun. Like Micah Miller was one. We did an episode very, very early on in the podcast about Kelly Nash, and he was a guy who went missing in Lake Lanier, and he walked into the lake and shot himself in the head. And I feel like people do it in that fashion sometimes because it's less mess. There's not going to be any cleanup. They'll probably assume they'll be found pretty quickly, because if they're floating in a waterway, someone will find them who isn't their family. So there's nothing for the family to clean up. I feel like there's reasons why people would choose to take their life in that way, and it happens pretty frequently. Like, that's definitely not the only suicide that I've heard of in that type of situation.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe it just kind of seems nicer to people. Like you said, no real cleanup, and maybe their body will just wash away. Maybe they like the water and the idea of
and maybe
being in the water.
Yeah, or even like maybe if they did it on the edge of the water, like near in a park they liked, or do you know what I mean? Like, there's a bunch of reasons why people would pick a place. I just don't think it's a crazy, it's not unbelievable to think that someone would do that. As we mentioned, the last victim was found around the 8th of October, which was just a few days ago of the time of recording. It'll be just over a week after that this episode comes out. So we will update you if we hear more on that victim. He is unidentified. We don't really know anything else at this point about that. But yeah, we'll keep you updated. And obviously we share on stories when we hear that a new body has been found or anything else has happened. So make sure you keep checking out our stories for any updates after this episode.
So yeah, that's it for this episode. Everything will be on the blog at truecrimesocietyblog.com. truecrimesociety.com. You can check us out on Patreon or at patreon.com/True Crime Society, where we do weekly bonus episodes. We do all the episodes ad-free. We have like its own community there. We have our own chats, book clubs. I ask people for advice to help me with my life. So check us out over there. If you want to follow us on Instagram, mine is StephSum_, Olivia's TCS Olivia. Obviously, I'm assuming you're already following the True Crime Society main account, but if you're not, definitely follow us there because we're always posting updates and things like that. When they find new bodies, we'll post it on our stories. So find us on Instagram. And then just all the usual stuff. You can leave us some nice comments on Spotify. Sharing to your Instagram stories is a huge help. We love to reshare them and see what you guys are up to when you're listening to the podcast. Just help us get the word out there, get us some more listeners. We'd really appreciate that. And that's really it. So stay safe out there. Peace out. I don't know why I'm like struggling. Stay safe out there. Peace out. Talk to you guys next time. Bye.
See ya.